Hi, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to talk about acceptance and evaluation criteria and what is the difference between these two. Let's start with the acceptance criteria. Now consider this. You get a mobile phone from Amazon and you are now unboxing it. Now, before you accept the delivery or you don't replace it, what will you look at? You look at whether all the components as defined in the product details are available, whether it's the charging wire or headphone or whatever was supposed to be part of this. There are no scratches and there are no damages. Phone is working after it is charged and so on. These are some of the things which you will definitely consider before you say, okay, your phone is fine. So what are these? These are called acceptance criteria for the phone. So to accept the delivery of the phone from Amazon, you will look at these acceptance criteria. Now, if you look at the formal definition of acceptance criteria, you realize that it says it's a minimum set of requirements that must be met to get a confirmation on the solution implementation. Now we are talking about the acceptance criteria in the solution development or software development. So acceptance criteria is all about ensuring that a particular solution, it could be an entire application or it could be a part of it. How will you accept it that it is ready for the users? That is where acceptance criteria come into picture. So if we are talking about a single user story, single feature or the entire application, the acceptance criteria will be defined differently. Now let's take an example of real life to understand what are acceptance criteria. So let's consider that there is a software application which is being developed by your team for a customer XYZ. Now the software application, once it goes for the UAT or the user acceptance testing, how will you determine and how will you define that there is an objective set of requirements which once these are met, the software is deemed to be accepted? It should not happen that the customer keep on telling you, okay, give me some more time. I want to test it again. I am not still satisfied. If that is the way we approach the UAT, then it will be a never-ending process. So how will you define the acceptance criteria for an application? Here are some of the examples. 1. All the unit test cases which your team has written must have run successfully. Similarly, system test cases and even the UAT test cases prepared by the customer must have run successfully. In a financial accounting system or an insurance system or something similar which are related to financial statements, a criteria can also include that your balance sheet and profit and loss statements or maybe other statements must match the manual statements which are taken out from the customer system on a particular date. If that is also met, that means you have met all the acceptance criteria as far as the software application is concerned. If all these criteria are met with, which means that customer has to now give you a sign off that your application is complete. These are the examples of the acceptance criteria for a software application. But as I mentioned earlier, software application is the complete set. But is it possible to write the acceptance criteria for one feature? Absolutely yes. Think about the agile approach where we are delivering feature by feature. So every feature must also have related acceptance criteria. We are not talking about the Big Bang approach. In that case, we will write the acceptance criteria at the user story level. Let's look at this user story. As a visitor, I would search for flights so that I can plan my trip. Now this is one feature for searching of flights for a particular destination or for a particular date. In that case, the acceptance criteria are nothing but the test cases written to test this particular feature, which would include when a particular visitor on the website puts in the destination puts in the dates, it shows the correct flight results, which can be matched with the actual results. Similarly, when the visitor clicks on the cancel button, the search does not proceed forward and the fields get cleared. So these kind of acceptance criteria can also be written for every feature. As you are aware, in the user story cards, these acceptance criteria are mentioned on the back side. So now let's talk about the evaluation criteria. What are evaluation criteria and how these are different from the acceptance criteria? So let's consider this scenario that you have to buy a life insurance policy and there are multiple options. You can get it from a national insurance company or you can get it from a private company. So how will you decide between or amongst the multiple policies which you have shortlisted? You may consider things like what is the amount of cover you are getting, till the age you are getting it, what is the amount of premium, or what are the other constraints if there are any. What you will do, you will compare all the options using these evaluation criteria like your cover, age and premium. So whenever you have multiple options to choose from, you use evaluation criteria to select the best option. So as per the definition from Babok, evaluation criteria is a set of measurements which allow for ranking of solutions and alternative designs against their value for the stakeholders. In the life insurance policy case, you are the stakeholder. In case of a software application, it could be the business users and some of the external users who could be stakeholders. So to understand evaluation criteria better, let's take an example. Consider that there is a bank called Finchley Bank, which is looking for a retail lending software. So as usual, there will be two options. There is a build option. They can build the entire software from scratch, or they can buy from the market and then implement it for themselves. Now, how will you decide which one is better for the bank? There is no universal decision between build and buy. For one company, the build could be better. For another company, buy could be better. So this has to be done specifically for individual cases and projects. So what could be the evaluation criteria for build versus buy? So some of the criteria which you can see are privacy of data, maintenance cost, meeting implementation time frame, AMC cost, technology, the total cost of ownership and the support. Now each one of these are evaluated on the basis of how important these are for the stakeholders. In some cases, the implementation time frame could be very critical. In some cases, the technology could be very critical, or in some cases, privacy of data could be very important. I know in one of the cases where I was doing consulting assignment, the privacy of data overrode everything else. So based on that, we will provide a weightage to each of these criteria. And you will see something like this on your screen. So for each criterion, there will be a weightage which can be selected on the basis of 1 to 5. Higher the importance of that criterion, higher is the weightage. So in the example which I have shown, the privacy of data has a weightage of 5 because it was very important for that particular customer, Finchley Bank. Now, each option rather, build and buy, will be scored on the basis of these criteria. And then you will multiply the weightage with the score to get a weighted score for each of the options. So higher the score, the better is the option. In this case, you can see which one is the better, as you can compare the numerical values. So this is how you can evaluate various options for a particular customer. It could be an entire application, it could be a simple component, or it could be some other decision-making process where you can use the evaluation criteria. So let's recap. what is acceptance criteria, what are the evaluation criteria, and what is the difference. So, as you might have seen, the acceptance criteria are the set of conditions which are used to accept a particular feature or a software. Here, there's only one option. We are figuring out how should we judge this particular component or a solution. Whereas evaluation criteria is only applicable when there are more than one options available to you, and you have to choose which one is the better one for me or for your customer. In that case, we choose evaluation criteria. I've also shown you an example as to how to use the evaluation criteria to decide the better option. This is one of the techniques listed in Babok. Actually, this is the first technique in Babok. Hope you like this video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.